Sounds, possibly musical, heard in the night from other worlds or realms of being. Hello, strangers, and welcome to the Horror Show. Familiarity is the bane of horror. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort keeps fear at bay. However, when you take the familiar, when you take the comfortable, and you twist it into the unfamiliar, horror thrives. Enter Eversion. Eversion is an indie platformer game produced by Zarathustra in 2008. Originally released for free on Zarathustra's website, it also has an HD version available on Steam for a small price. Before we dig in, I should give fair warning that Eversion is a game best experienced with little prior knowledge. If you haven't played it before, and it hasn't already been spoiled for you, I highly encourage checking it out before I give away its surprises. It's short, and the free version is still available. Don't worry, this video will still be here when you get back. Now, with the obligatory spoiler warning out of the way, let's talk about Eversion. You can tell at a glance that Eversion takes heavy inspiration from 8 and 16-bit games, most notably the original Super Mario Bros. The game uses this to its advantage. Anyone with basic knowledge of platformers can tell you how this is supposed to go. You run to the right, you avoid falling in pits, you collect shiny things, you jump on enemies that are totally not Goombas, and you save the princess. The world is bright and colorful. It has flowers and little trees growing, big, white, fluffy clouds, and happy blocks. The music is bouncy and upbeat. Even the enemies are cheerful. Look at these little guys. They're so cute you almost feel bad for stomping on them. In just one screen, before you even touch the controls, the game gives us context clues that set up expectations. This is going to be bright and happy like Kirby, with the familiar gameplay of Mario. Sure, you might miss a jump and die, but there isn't even a life system. You just start the level over. There's nothing threatening about the dangers in this game. At this point, the only hint that something was amiss came very early on. The opening screen contains a warning that this game is not for children, accompanied by a quote from H.P. Lovecraft. Once you get to the bright cheerfulness of the title screen, however, this feels like the developers attempted a joke. Watch out, kids! The flowers are gonna get ya! The game plays exactly as expected, easing the player into a sense of security. It's not until you discover the eversion mechanic that the game throws you a gentle curveball. To evert something is to turn it inside out, and when the player finds eversion points, they can evert the game's world. While there is an eversion point in level 1, it's more likely that first-time players won't notice it until level 2, when they need it to progress. This gives you an entire level and a half to grow accustomed to the game before you come across this. This is the second layer of eversion. The music slows down and the bright colors become a little duller. The enemies have stopped smiling. If we'd started here, it would still come across as a fairly bright world, but compared to the peppy atmosphere of Layer 1, it's a startling step down. Our expectations have been nudged just a smidge, and it only gets worse as we move into the next layers. The plants wilt and the music takes on a somber, even ominous tone. The colors shift to grays and muted greens. The happy world we grew familiar with in level 1 is dying. As the enemies stop moving, perhaps it's already dead. And, as we move into the second half of the game, the world wants you dead too. Walls of swirling shadow doom chase you to the end of level 3, threatening to engulf and kill you if you can't run fast enough. In Layer 5, jumping over a pit summons a bright red hand to grab you. In Layer 6, the flowers that wilted and died have resurrected as deadly, spiked plants. You frequently switch back and forth between layers, which highlights just how much has been lost. With each new layer, the previous ones that used to be so jarring before, now feel like a reprieve as we retreat back into the safety of the familiar, brighter worlds. It's a steady reminder of the comfort that came from the first level. This game used to be safe. The failure mechanics were familiar and unthreatening. You could beat previous levels at your leisure and even go backwards if you wanted. These new threats grab your expectations by the throat and shake them. You can't trust anything now, not even the flowers. Even the happy critters that played an obstacle before have transformed into fanged monstrosities. The music turns into a corrupted version of Layer 2's theme. The sky turns darker and redder. Your death is no longer a quick and forgettable affair, but an explosion of red blood. Yet, all of the building blocks present in the first happy layer are still here. The fragility of certain blocks and clouds change from layer to layer, but their existence remains consistent. The flowers, the enemies, even the core mechanics are still here to remind us of the bright world we grew familiar with clear back at the beginning. No matter how much the world warps, it's never beyond recognition, which makes the changes all the more unsettling. After all, what's scarier? A random zombie, or a zombie that used to be your little brother? A monster that's out to eat your face will get your blood pumping no matter what, but if the monster used to be something safe and familiar, that strikes at a whole new emotional core. Layer 7 would not be half as scary as it is if it weren't for the previous 6 leading deeper and deeper into this slow perversion of the world. The world you started with has gone, and you are left with a world that has fallen apart. Eversion sets the player up with a cute, even friendly world reminiscent of other games. Because Eversion built itself around safe and familiar tropes, anything that challenges that atmosphere feels unsettling and out of place. And that's where its strongest horror shines through. Until next time, dear strangers. I wanted to say that in the HD version, the clouds in Layer 1 totally look solid. They are not solid. The clouds lie to you.